And we've been asked today, our guidance has been very, very clear not to share anything ahead of time about February. Even though we've been given lots and lots of information all throughout January, we've been guided just to offer the ensoulment.
Mm-hmm. Let's take a breath. And as you relax into your own heart center, feeling your breath, feeling your heart open, recognizing that the root chakra of the ascendant state is indeed your sacred heart. So we breathe and relax and create the spaciousness for lifting. The spaciousness for lifting.
Hello, beloved angels. Beloved angels of great light. This body is dry. Sri Lanka, this body is very dry and will need nourishment prior to us continuing. Please offer this body some water. Beloved ones of great light, it is we, the crystalline beings of divine light, here floating in the ascended presence of the masters at the lake known as Atitlan, that come to you today. Great water is needed for this body.
Here we go. Now, slowly. Is it there yet? No. Here it comes.
A little more. This is good. Great water is needed for all bodies now. And this is why we offer to thee this communion through the ascended master's abode in the presence of the great body of water, Atitlan. It is why we come to you now in the dawn of the moment of great questioning. It is the moment of great questioning. For many millennia, your human experience in form has come forward, has grown, has expanded, has sought much. The energy of the seeking is at the time of transmutation to the energy of the sincere questioning. For those who seek, they will no longer find. There will be the great, let us say, cycle of searching. And the great cycle of searching has great attachment to the third density experience. The third density experience now is quite grand and quite present and quite large. And in the third density experience, the need to search, the need to demand specific experience. Please hear our words. To demand specific experience is a lock, a deadbolt, so to speak, into third dimensional reality. Third dimensional reality now will lack water. There will be great lack of water. And this is why even this body now is demonstrating to you that there is the need for great water. Great water. The great waters are finding a new sense of harmony. All of the great waters in your world must find new harmony. And in the third dimensional experience, that is the deadlock of the demanded seeker, there will be a great cry for water. There will be a great cry for pure water. There will be a great cry for a live water. There will be a great cry for water. Your form that supports the ecstatic experience of the soul-based energy is primarily water. To live in an experience where there is a great cry for water will cause great tears among that experience. And yet tears are water, are they not? And so all water is designed to flow, and all water is being invited to be alive. We come to you again today from this great abode, and as we are in this abode communicating with thee, we harness within our energy now the great nourishing aspect of this body of water, in conjunction with all of the abodes unified around your world and in one grid with the crystalline beings of light expanded throughout all experience. We allow our gaze to go to the abode of the warriors, which is so close to this abode here. And as we do, we see great beings of water, great beings of presence, lifting above and through the third and fourth dimensional experiences, which in this moment are very similar as one experience. It is the energy of flow. It is the energy of the time of the great questioning that will bring thee into the solid anchorship of 5 dimensions. Many years ago, our great archangelic brethren, through the one known as Zadkiel, through this vessel now, offered to thee the extensive library of how to live in this energy. Perhaps it was brought forward, possibly a moment premature for the vast majority to understand. And for those who have already read this library of how to live in the 5th dimension, in this time of great questioning, it will be a great Bible of solace. A Bible of solace. For in there are great answers to the time of great questioning. And after the extensive library of living in the 5th dimension was brought forward, we offered to thee the expansion of the 5th dimension into the galactic experience and brought forward an encyclopedia of galactic knowledge. Through these wisdom teachings, all of the answers are available. Yet one is in the moment, the choice, the divine opportunity to step through the demand for the experience and step into the relaxation of the time of questioning. What is the time of questioning? The time of questioning is when the answers have already arrived and the questions are formed from the intuitive recognition of the answers. Within the great lessons of oneness that we have offered to thee already, within the great books of ascension, within the great recognition of divine illumination, all of the answers have already been gifted to thee. Yet, the form of the one in the experience of body, in the time of great questioning, begins to coagulate a sea of answers. In the books that have been offered to thee through this vessel, in all of the books, thousands of what you called pages, 9 of what you call books, there are great answers already offered to your world. And for those who demand the experience, the deadlock of 3rd dimensional understanding and the need to fully expand in the 3rd dimension is already turned. And for those who have awoken to the inner wisdom and intuitive connection, there is great answers available when the questions are discerned from the answer that the heart carries. Bring your hand to your heart now, the central heart, the heart of the divine Sun. Bring your other hand up to the top of the star consciousness, connecting the heart and the star consciousness in the divine illumination of the expansion of your divine galactic blueprint begin to ignite the 144 chakras that expand from the 12 points of the divine galactic blueprint. What are the chakras? They are the transport vehicle in many ways. Now switch the hands to the same places. Take in a breath. Yes, let the breath out and feel a pyramid of crystalline energy igniting through thee, with thee, and around thee. Switch the hands again and illuminate the ecstatic Trayasa. Switch the hands again and begin to notice the Merkaba of the head. Feel yourself in the divine cosmic connection, for this is the place of the questions. You may even feel as if your head and neck are lifting up and out of the form now. Release the top hand and bring it to the heart. Feeling the heart as an anchor, you feel a ray of divine light coming up through the throat, up through the head, anchored in the star consciousness, and you begin to feel the head and the top of the body as if a balloon filled with helium, floating and rising. Anchored at the heart, ever present in the experience of form, yet floating and rising and lifting now. From this space, the divine questioner arises. The divine questioner asks the questions that come from the intuitive knowing. The divine questioner asks because of the connection with the form. The connection with the form will in all ways seek reassurance. And until the moment of the recognition that there is no longer a need for form, there will always be the request for reassurance. The request for reassurance made through the heart of the divine questioner, having lifted up through the anchorship of the wisdom that has been expressed through 9 years of preparation, is able to come forward now and ask the questions that the mind of density would say, this is a crazy question. The mind of density would say, oh, but this answer is set in stone from this other stage of the human experience. The recognition of the expansion into your divine presence universally, which transcends the globe, transcends this single universe. This extension opens up the greater questions. And when the greater questions come forward, the greater wisdom is ready to be acknowledged. It is our gift, through the manifest form of a team of miracle workers aligned with the greater questions, that for the remainder of this year, this calendar year of delivery, yet infinite wisdom that is timeless, that every one of our messages be delivered without cost to those who choose to see them. It is important that these messages are made available to the awakening hearts of the divine questioner, in our form as we offer them to you now. We will invite thee to offer messages to these beloved carriers of our energy, the ones you know as Shri and Kira, to send them your questions from the divine heart, and we will come forward for thee every month without any interruption to answer these questions of the heart. For this is the year of the divine question. Breathe into your heart now and know that as a being of divine miracle energy, when you carry that form awakened, when you join with others who are awakened as a team of great miracle workers, then you anchor thyself outside the tractor of illusion, this beam of illusion that exists in the third dimensional realm. You release the deadbolt with the ultimate combination that says, I am no longer in need of demand. I am in the recognition of the flow. And the water of the universal connectivity flows through me, and I am ever abundant. For this is the greater service of a team of divine miracle presence, the team of divine miracle workers. The awakened heart unlocks the deadbolt to the third dimension, and the freedom to ask the questions of divine illumination come forward, and the receptivity in the body, the physical form, becomes ever more anchored. It is one thing to hear a message. It is quite another to live it. It is one thing to receive a message for free. It is quite another to sustain it in your world through your acts and your actions. The time of your actions is upon you, and the words are simply a gateway to the deeper truth. Your limitless encyclopedia, your limitless library exists, and all is written, for none has ever been lost. In the waters of divine illuminate energy sits the greater flow of harmony, and in the sediment at the bottom is the third dimension. In the bottom of all pure areas of water is a sediment, for that which cannot be in the water simply falls, until it is ready to dissolve into the water again. Beloved angels of light, are you in the water as a crystalline being, or are you feeling the sediment? The sediment is never left, for the water surrounds it infinitely. It is simply a question of where you wish to be, in the sediment or in the ecstatic trance of the divine illumination of the great waters of all universal presence. We will await your questions, and as you begin, let us begin, for our recognition is that burning in the heart of Sri Lanka is a question, and we invite you to offer to the gift of all the understanding of the greater question. And we invite you to offer us one question to begin.
Living in form seems to have a friction with it. A friction that we experience as working for a career, working to support our families, paying rent, sustaining our bodies and our contractual agreements with other beings. These third dimensional agreements, this friction, always calls one's attention. And yet the practices of ascended living, the practices that you've referred to over these past years, offer a portal to a lifting energy and the reconciliation of the two. How to live in that ascended state while still honoring the commitments made well in form remains a bit of a puzzle. Would you speak to this?
We receive this question. Whenever a question is asked of thee, we are demonstrating to thee how to receive the question. You open the hands, and you feel your hands being filled with divine wisdom, divine light. You are calling out to the place where all wisdom has always been and can never be destroyed. You will feel the fingers as you notice the tips of our fingers now shooting out great sparks of light. You will notice the fingers will illuminate when your heart is ready to receive the answer. As you hear the question, you are receiving the question. And as you receive the question in this manner, you are receiving the energy to fully hear the answer. As you prepare yourself to hear the answer to this question, we offer to thee this simple gift. The life that your question describes, the challenges that your question describes, are the sediment. They are the sediment. And oftentimes, when one steps into the sediment, dust begins. You notice that other sediment rises around it because the foot has come in and made the sediment so dense, so compacted, that around it there are those that are ready to say, I understand now. This is the greatest gift of this question, is that it leads to the end of questioning with the simple recognition of, I understand now. Because this question is the foot on the sediment. How does one come forward? One must let go of the need to align with a paradigm that has served its time. Paradigms that are no longer of the greatest presence. Paradigms that are sustaining for the purposes of sustaining only become great sediment and become great weight on the sediment. This is why they have become very, very, very close. Oftentimes feeling insurmountable, oftentimes feeling overwhelming, oftentimes feeling there is no release, there is no freedom, there is nothing. What do I do? It is the foot on the bottom of the riverbed. And the tighter this foot gets, the easier it is for those that are ready to dissolve back into the flow. This is a question that will be asked, we are cleared many times over this year in many forms, as we offer ourselves for this entire year to respond to more questions. The questions that come from this place of divine recognition. For this question is asked only from the perspective of one that recognizes that it is an illusion, that the question itself is part of the illusion. To live is to be alive, to be enlivened, to become part of the flow is the option of ease at a time of great sediment. Part of the sediment, part of the flow. 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 You will cycle through these processes until you dissolve into the flow itself. This is a time of great water, and there will be a cry for water in the sediment. For when the foot steps on the sediment, it becomes drier, because the water no longer touches it. This is the time of the great questioning, and this is the time of great freedom. There is a deadlock on the third dimension, because the energies of the third dimension must continue in their own protected container. They are indeed contaminated energies, and this does not judge them. They simply must have their sacred container for experience, because the third dimensional experience is important, and so it must be protected from itself and from its own destruction. And beyond the third dimension, through the overlay of the fourth, is the water of the fifth, and the luminescent energy that is before thee now. Swim through this and open, and you will discover the anchored heart, the moment of the sincere questioner, and the energy to lift through, beyond, and with the time that is at hand. We offer to thee the gift of the water of the divine limitless universe. We sing to thee with the wisdom of the universal encyclopedia, with the library of divine wisdom. And we send to thee the energy of the divine heart, from the space of the divine heart.
So, beloved ones, be with your sacred presence. And maybe it's time to write down the questions that are alive in you